face to face with my conscience.
April 22nd, 2023, Earth Day. If it's 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's time for This Week in Waukesha. I am your host, Downtown Donnie Brown, coming to you live and local from the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown, also known as the Walk Radio Studios here in the NAMI building on 217 Wisconsin Avenue, forever the NAMI building, right around the corner from Theodore Youmans Park, where we are proud to honor our suffragette heritage here in the Shaw. And speaking of NAMI, it is my absolute joy to welcome back our neighbors here in the same building, or I guess now former neighbors. We'll get to that in a second. What I call the host nation here at 217 Wisconsin Avenue with respects to Berg Management. The National Alliance on Mental Illness Southeast Wisconsin, also known as NAMI, or NAMI Southeast Wisconsin, and their fearless leader, Mary Madden. Good morning, Mary. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Don. Good morning to you and all of your listeners.
And I was going to say that I'm embarrassed that we've been terrible neighbors because we haven't had you back sooner. You were on last year. This is your second tour of duty, but
right.
Knowing how important mental health is and how important raising awareness is, that we do want to make a better effort of getting some more information, getting some more members of your team to come in, some terrific stories to tell. And speaking of stories, you've got a lot going on next Friday and throughout the month of May. Let's start with next Friday, Blue Jean Bingo, which we now know is this will be a teaser for those of you out there because it's sold out. But
it is sold out. Blue Jean Bingo is probably the most fun you will have at a fundraiser. And it is scheduled for next Friday. We are expecting about 450 guests. And it is a licensed bingo event, silent auction. We've got music by part-time models next year. That's new for us.
Nice.
And,
what kind of music is that?
It's dance music. We're
love
gonna have
it.
an acoustic set over dinner.
How fun.
But then they do some great dance music.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great name for a band.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's next Friday, April 28th, correct?
Right, at Brookfield Conference Center.
Hey, Don,
yes.
isn't that Friday the last day that you can elect Warren Zevon to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Thank you so much. Anastasia, I couldn't do it without her, my fearless engineer. You know, and Anastasia is working. She's burning the candle at both ends because she's been volunteering at the Milwaukee Film Festival this week.
Oh, no, I'm paid. I'm no volunteer.
I'm sorry, she's paid staff at the Milwaukee Film Festival. And she lent me this great program from the event. She has all her production notes in here. That could be a separate show in itself. But thanks for reminding me. Yes, if you go to vote.rockhall.com, vote for Warren Zevon. He's finally been nominated after years of neglect to the angst of many of his biggest fans and supporters, which include Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder. And now he's still he's high in the voting. It's looking really good, but Friday's the last day. You can vote every day and vote once. Vote.rockhall.com. Do the right thing. Elect Warren Zevon to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Mary, you like Warren Zevon, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Love Warren Zevon. And I do want to give a shout out to the Milwaukee Film Festival. We are huge fans of the film festival, and we are actually a community partner on a movie at the festival that's called The Year Between. It's based on a true story of a young man who goes to college and gets diagnosed with mental illness. And that's showing at the Oriental Theater on April 28th at 6:30, and then at the Oriental again at 9:45 on Sunday.
And what's the name of the movie again?
It's called The Year Between.
The Year Between. Check that out. I'm sure if you Google it, too.
Yeah, there's a great
mentioning
trailer out there
great.
for it. So
Terrific. So something I want to throw out there, because I know you have a whole program full of events at the evening, but since it is the last day, you let people know, anyone that votes for Warren Zevon that day, and they can text me. I'll give you my details. For everyone that votes, I will donate $10 to NAMI Southeast Wisconsin.
Wow.
Don Brown.
That's awesome, Don.
Thank you so much. So I'll put it in an email for you so you can explain, but because this is a very important cause.
That's great.
Right, Anastasia?
We'll get that up on our social media as well.
I love it. Thank you. So it may end up being a pledge. It could be depending on how many votes we get, and I hope it is. So,
right. Awesome.
Terrific. So that's just next Friday, and then what a great lead into May, which is National Mental Health Awareness Month.
Right.
And just like last year, you've got a whole program of activities. I know I had you on in like late May, so we couldn't. But now we can give people advance notice
Right.
of all the great things you have going on.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that we're asking people to do, because we still are actually planning things for May. I've got a list of 8 things that are happening in May in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, but we've got a couple more out there that are in the planning stages, might be later in May. So we want to make sure that people keep checking out our social media on Facebook or Instagram, and also our website, which is www.namisoutheastwi.org. We will keep posting updates on there.
Sounds great. Could you repeat that again, Mary, the website?
www.namisoutheastwi.org.
Yeah, and NAMI again is N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, M as in Mike, I as in Irving, National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Correct.
So in Southeast, and which was started here in Wisconsin, in Madison in the 70s. I don't know when the exact year was.
79.
And 79 was
the
the
year
official.
I graduated, by the way.
Was that the year that the Milwaukee organization opened that has now become Southeast Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Or was that the year that NAMI, the national, started? Or both?
Actually, the national organization actually came after the local organization.
So Milwaukee started it. Okay.
Yep. So actually in Dane, they started the movement. It was 3 moms sitting around their kitchen table.
That's right.
They all had, I believe they all had adult children with schizophrenia. And back in 1979, they were still blaming mothers for their children becoming ill. And they wanted to do something better to advocate, to get better services and things like that. So at the same time, there were little pockets of people around the country.
Right.
But Milwaukee was one of the first ones to incorporate in 1980. NAMI Waukesha incorporated in 1982. And then, of course, we merged the two in January of 21.
Okay.
And picked up Jefferson County in our territory as well.
Sure. And one of your founders I saw, Roz Libman. Did I get that correct?
Roz, yep. She was one of the founders of NAMI Milwaukee.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard some great things about her.
Yeah, Roz is an amazing person. So
fantastic. Hope I can meet her. So maybe we can have her on the show someday.
Yeah.
So
we've got a lot going on, both in Milwaukee and Waukesha.
Great.
During Mental Health Awareness Month. One of the things that is fast going to be, we're just about at the point where we're selling out of this, is we're doing some specific crisis training for law enforcement and other first responders.
Love it.
Today out at WCTC, it's going to be youth focused.
Okay.
And then a little bit later in the month, and now that May 2nd and 3rd, that's earlier in the month. That's specifically for law enforcement officers who've gone through CIT training, crisis intervention training.
Okay.
So that's a specific class that we do. It's a week-long class for our for our patrol officers, sworn officers, to help them have some more tools in their tool belt with working with people who might be in a psychiatric crisis. But then a little bit later on in the month, on the 16th and 17th, I believe. Yes, 16th and 17th, also at WCTC, we have what we call Crisis Intervention Partners Training. This will also be youth-focused. Both of these classes are supported by Waukesha County Department of Health and Human Services.
Nice. Okay.
And that class is for anybody who might be working with youth that want to help understand mental health issues a little bit better and be able to, again, help a youth in crisis.
So does W's, and I apologize, I should know this. I know we had Richard Barnhouse on Kristen Bry's show recently. In their curriculum, do they have anything in the way of like social work or?
Sure. Yeah. They do. They have a
mental health training.
They have a human services, a 2-year human services degree.
Nice. It's a good fit.
It's a good fit out there. Sure. And the Richard T. Anderson Center is just, a beautiful place to have events. We've had many events there, and they're always extremely accommodating. I don't want to fail to mention, though, that we will, on May 17th, we will have a free, and all of these events are actually free, but we will have a free question, persuade, and refer suicide awareness and prevention training.
Okay.
We do those about once a month. We also bring...
That's the 16th and 17th, you said?
Nope, that's just
sorry.
on the 17th.
The 17th. I stand corrected.
Yep, it'll be over, let's see, it's from 12 p.m. to 1:30.
Okay.
Again, you can connect to that through our website, but that is for anybody who wants to become more comfortable with questioning somebody if they're at risk at suicide, and then understanding how to help them and get them to the necessary resources.
Sure.
And that is done in collaboration and with our Waukesha County Suicide Prevention Initiative.
Okay.
Which is a collaboration between a number of organizations, school districts, and again, the Department of Health and Human Services in Waukesha County.
Okay. Oh, that's very nice. Oh, excuse me there. That's great. So that's going to be a busy month for you.
It is a really busy month. I haven't even talked about if, people are inclined to travel down to Milwaukee for a little bit of music. We have a number of things happening. We've got something on May 2nd at Amorphic Beer in River West.
Nice.
We've got Kendra Scott over at the Corners in Brookfield.
Love it.
Is doing a fundraising event for us May 6th and 7th. 20% of the proceeds will come to NAMI, and there'll be NAMI staff there to talk about services and things like that. We've got at Wanable Cafe free coffee and conversation with featuring guests Harry Evans from Heel Black Man and Montreal Kane. So they're a couple of men who are doing just wonderful things in the Black African American community in terms of talking about mental health and mental illness and reducing that stigma for diverse communities.
Okay. That's terrific. So, well, great. And obviously you'll be leaning a lot of volunteer support from your volunteer base. And you said there's close to 150 volunteers that you have?
Absolutely, right. We use volunteers in a couple of different ways. One, obviously, when we have events.
Okay.
And our two big events, we talked about Blue Jean Bingo in the fall to cap off Mental Illness Awareness Week, which is the first full week in October. On that Saturday, we have our big NAMI walk. And We've merged the Waukesha and Milwaukee walks, and this year we will be having our walk out at the zoo.
That's terrific.
We are super excited about it.
I love it.
So we have volunteers that will just, come in just for
We're
that
going to go to a
day.
break right now. We come back, we're going to talk more about those other events as well as the services that NAMI Southeast Wisconsin offers when This Week in Waukesha continues. You can sing along, Anastasia, if you want. Just waiting on the chorus line there, Anastasia. That's it. Rip the knob off. Hey, we're back This Week in Waukesha. Wanted to have a longer musical entree. That's James with Sit Down. And my guest, I think it's a great fit for my guest, Mary Madden, Executive Director, NAMI Southeast Wisconsin, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And that was James with Sit Down. And, that's what we're talking about, is getting people to sit down and feel comfortable and feel confident to talk about mental health issues, because with the stigma surrounding mental health that tragically still exists today, people are holding back. And for me, this is personal. This is the 30th anniversary, and Mary knows this, member of my family of her affliction with a very, very rare and very serious form of suicidal depression. And fortunately for my family, she survived and has a wonderful life 30 years later. Happily married, has her first grandchild. So many good tidings in her life. And but again, when this happened, a lot of us were shocked. We didn't know this was the 1990s, and we really weren't really equipped on how to deal with it. Fortunately, because we were a large family, we could provide a large community of support. But at the time, we kept this very private from many around us, including extended family. And we would learn that we had a maternal great aunt that had succumbed to depression. Because what they called a broken heart, which was a failed marriage that involved some infidelity and something like that. But again, depression, mental illness is one of those things that's been tucked away under a pillow or kept close, and which I think leads to more mental health issues, right, Mary?
Absolutely. Don, I think your story with your sister is a testimony to recovery is possible. And but if we don't talk about it, people don't know that. And my family was going through a journey in the 90s as well.
That's right.
And I think you and I have talked about that before. We didn't really know much
Sure.
about it. And and it was all tucked away in the closet. And then as you peel back these layers, you find, oh, well, this family member, dealt with it. And, and I think how different it would be if we talked about it and people got early intervention for it and were able to get the treatment that they needed and not suffer through, years, decades sometimes of not having the right treatment or the right support system.
Yeah. And that's why these events we were talking about earlier, we can finish talking about them, they're so important for your mission, not only because of the dollars raised and the friends gained, but also the awareness raised.
Right, absolutely. And not all of our events, even the ones that I talked about, are to raise dollars. Many of them are to just raise awareness. Some are to raise dollars and to raise awareness, like our event we talked about for next week, and then the walk, of course. And I should mention, our walk I think it's the only walk where you don't have to pay a registration fee. We hope that people will garner donations for us because it is one of our big events, but we really want people to show up in support of of mental health and mental illness and show that we are united and that you're not alone.
That sounds great. That sounds terrific. And speaking of so in the year since we've met, have there been any kind of traction gained or things you'd really like to point to in terms of progress that NAMI Southeast Wisconsin has made?
Yes, absolutely. So in the years since we've met, and I think when we talked last, we were probably still kind of coming out of our virtual program offerings due to the pandemic, where we weren't doing a lot in person yet.
Right.
And so there's a couple things that I think are really key. One, we've reestablished our connection with school districts in Waukesha, and we have young adult speakers in classes talking to freshmen and sophomore mostly with a program called Ending the Silence.
Nice.
And to help them understand where there's resources available to help them understand that if somebody confides in them that they're thinking about taking their own life or some other type of thing that relates to mental health, that's you need to find a trusted adult. That's not a good secret to keep. And so we've made a lot of progress there. We've continued to train our police officers and helping to manage psychiatric crisis. And but overall, not just the progress that NAMI has made, there actually has been progress in terms of mental health services in schools now. Governor Evers is making, a lot of money available to support mental health services, to support early intervention, and all of that has provided, our community with the ability to progress and to, fill some of those gaps in service and in support systems.
Sounds great. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk more about those services. We also want to talk about the Resiliency Center, right? That's become new.
Yep.
And we've also got some local news and sports to report on. I forgot to do it last week, so we can't forget this week, okay, Anastasia? That's on me. So when This Week in Waukesha continues, so much more to talk about with Mary Madden of NAMI, Southeast Wisconsin, including what you can do to support the mission and help us eliminate the stigmas around mental health when we come back in This Week in Waukesha. Do not go away. And hey, by the way, my guest next week is Sarah the author, talking about the farmers market as well as some of her own titles. So lots to look forward to. So this is his son, AJ. Do you like Jim Croce, Anastasia? Or is he too?
I've never heard this before.
Well, this is his son, AJ, with his mom, Jim's widow.
Okay.
Doing a cover of Jim Croce's Hey Tomorrow. And Ingrid has a disease. She was once very outspoken. She can't really talk anymore because of her this affliction, but she can sing this song. And they made a video out of it.
Oh, I'm going to have to go home and watch that video now.
Yeah, AJ Croce and Ingrid Croce. And AJ Croce is doing a tour, a national tour, that tragically does not include Wisconsin. We have to do something about that, but he's calling it Father and Son, like Croce does crochet. So he's singing all his dad's like classic hits.
Oh,
I think that would be really neat. And he's done some things in his own rights, a couple albums produced, and he's also played with different projects and everything. But I was in second grade, and I was probably maybe in kindergarten when he died in that awful plane crash. But my mom, my family, we listened to a lot of Jim Croce in our living room, during the 70s, and these songs still come on the radio today. They're timeless.
Absolutely, yeah, and they're beautiful.
And so I was watching a video because you see one on YouTube after I was done watching this other pops in. He's live in the Helen Reddy show, and Jim Croce tells a story about this buddy he had in the Army that heart of gold, but just not the sharpest knife in the drawer, and not an easy guy to discipline, and he decided he had enough, and he quit. He went AWOL, not understanding the consequences.
Sure.
And he ends up in jail, but he wrote a song about him, and it's Bad, Bad Leroy Brown.
Oh, funny.
So I was like, wow, I love that. So, but we have our own stories here to tell with Mary Madden, Executive Director of NAMI Southeast Wisconsin. But before we do, we also have some other Waukesha stories to tell. Starting with city news, I want to congratulate my friend Alex Damian, who was selected as the city's next Public Works Director. Alex was previously serving the city as the interim Public Works Director and city engineer. And I can tell you, as alderman, Alex made me look like a rock star anytime a constituent called about a road, issues with the road or a transfer, any kind of public works issue. And Alex was always, Johnny in the spot. So congratulations to him. And then for, those of you wondering what's going on at Buckner Park, they're getting ready for the summer pool season by putting in new stairs and an ADA accessible walking path. This will give better access to the new pool for those that park on or east of Greenfield Avenue. So you can read updates on this and all city construction projects on the city website. And speaking of the city, Mary Berg from Parks and Rec is my guest on May 20th, and she's bringing interim forestry director Aaron Lainert, who's filling in for my good friend Mike Telasco, who retired after 35 years or so from Parks and Rec. Congrats, Mike. I'm sad that I'm just learning about this now because he was also very wonderful at his craft with forestry. So those are great. So brush branch pickup Monday, April 24th through Friday, April 28th. So place your brush and branches out by 6:30 a.m. on the curb, same day as your garbage collection. You may begin piling brush and bush branches already. So go to the city website to learn more. So back to Mary, we wanted to talk about one of the big developments in the past year was the development of a resiliency center for survivors, victims of the parade tragedy of 2021, Christmas parade tragedy.
Yes. So we were brought into the project early in the summer of last summer, so June-ish, and there was a great collaboration of United Way, Waukesha County Community Foundation. Mayor Riley works with us, of course, and the Waukesha Police Department. And really, what we're looking at is there was federal grant dollars available.
Nice.
when a tragedy like this happens, you can use those dollars to create what they call a resiliency center.
Okay.
And our resiliency center is the United for Waukesha Resiliency Center. It's located over at 2000 Pewaukee Road in the business park there. And they are just doing wonderful events there to help people heal from that tragedy. And as you said, Don, we have many, many survivors of that. We've got service navigators who can help people connect to services. They do art therapy and music therapy at the center. They're planning actually a big what's called Healing Inc. Project for the fall.
I love the name.
That's going to be, we're going to have a number of tattoo artists donating their time, and for our first responders who, may want to, utilize that sort of healing as well. So lots of things happening at the Resiliency Center. You can connect to them through our website as well. They also have their own website.
I love it. So, and speaking of the Waukesha Parade and healing, great news from Frame Park on Thursday night. Waukesha South defeated Classic 8 conference rivals Muskego 9-4, avenging a one-run loss earlier in the week on Monday. But Thursday night, Eric Teagues, one of the well-known parade survivors, who he's going to play baseball in college. He had the big win, and his dad Don was kind enough to send me the stats. He pitched 6 innings, got 5 strikeouts, only 4 walks, gave up only 7 hits, threw 93 pitches, and 57 of them were strikes. So congrats to the Black Shirts. They play tomorrow night at 6:30 against Kettle Moraine at Dock Hound Stadium in Oconomowoc. It's a reschedule. And last night the Black Shirts were at it again, but unfortunately the result was not what we got on Thursday. It was a really tough loss to Brookfield East, the fake Spartans, 15-2. I went to Michigan State, so I can say that. But it was alumni night, and it was great seeing a lot of baseball alumni, including Joe Albanese, who just closed his family restaurant after 40 years. Joe was one of the great catchers in Waukesha South history, and it was really great to catch up with him. So, and another great healing aspect, Mary, you're going to discover. The show that's on next is Morning Cannolis with Jim Santel. And it's like, for any Seinfeld fans, remember Kramer's coffee table book of coffee tables? Jim Santel of Morning Cannolis brings us Morning Cannolis on occasion, and this is another one. Sometimes it's from Glorioso's on Brady Street. Other times it's something else. So Jim may be coming through that door any minute. If not, we'll catch up with him during the break. He may even have a few questions for you, Mary.
Awesome.
So, so we also want to talk about, because there's other types. There's a lot of different types of mental health issues. I mentioned, depression is something that we, in my family, and you mentioned in your family, was it like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia? Or
not schizophrenia in my family, but depression, and major depressive disorders, anxiety, and with panic attacks and substance use, which often comes with mental health issues. Because people try to medicate. Early on, they start getting, symptoms. They're not sure what it is. Maybe a drink or, a little THC helps with that. And then, pretty soon they're also dealing with a substance use disorder.
Right. It just piled. And that's the thing I remember from our own family's experience, is that one mental health issue can lead to other health issues.
Absolutely.
Like eating disorders. And substance abuse.
Absolutely. And also, the research shows us that people with severe and persistent mental illness, so when we use that term, we're talking about people with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depressive disorder, they, on average, die 25 years sooner than other people, and a lot of times it's because maybe they medically they don't take care of themselves, but often they may go to the emergency room, and because they've got a mental illness, maybe the staff are missing something,
Yeah.
thinking, well, this must be related to your depression or related
Sure.
to your schizophrenia, or you're having a panic attack, or something like that. And
Yeah.
so it's hard. It's hard for
You know-
people who are dealing with that to advocate for themselves and get good care.
And if you don't come from a big or supportive family or a strong network of friends, some of these people are out there on their own.
Absolutely.
And it affects your career. I mean, you may end up being out of work if you're not able to effectively address your mental health
Absolutely.
issue. And so that does contribute to homelessness.
It does, and it contributes to homelessness. Here in Waukesha, we actually have a homeless outreach program, very unique to NAMI's.
Sure.
They have them in other counties as well, but it's unique for a NAMI to have that program. But we partner with a lot of organizations and the Waukesha Police Department.
I love it.
To try to get people into permanent,
Sure.
affordable housing, rather than having them living on
Wow.
the
So
streets.
you do touch the homeless area
Absolutely.
too. Yeah. So I wanted to mention that Karen Treadwell, Executive Director of Waukesha County Food Pantry, is my guest on Saturday, May 13th, Mother's Day weekend. And Karen's going to be retiring after many years of service.
Karen's amazing.
Yes, I do. I figured
Yeah.
you two know each other. And but I also want to say, too, speaking of homeless or permanent, is that you've outgrown your footprint here in what will always be the NAMI building.
Yes.
And you've moved it's Silvernail and
Grandview. It's in the there's a bank. It's on Grandview. There's a bank of offices just
real
off
high traffic
Silver.
location.
It is.
And you mentioned at the beginning of the show too is that you're surrounded by quite a few different mental health or therapy clinics.
Absolutely. There's one on our floor. Actually, there's two on the same floor as
Wow.
us. And I think there's four buildings there now, three or
Okay.
four. They tore one down and created a Taco Bell next door to us, which is a little dangerous, I think, for our staff.
which may or may not contribute to mental health.
That's right. That's right. I don't know. My staff are on a first name basis with the Taco Bell staff, so I'm not
love
sure
it.
what that says. But
Sure.
but in all of those buildings, there are a lot of different clinics, and so it can help in terms of sending people over to get those support things. I know
Great.
you talked about people who don't have a big support
So
family.
you've essentially moved from the NAMI building, and this will forever be the NAMI building. Don't forget that, Anastasia. To now what you could call NAMI Row, because you are surrounded by other advocates
Sure.
and providers.
Sure.
And how handy that is.
That is.
I know we mentioned it hasn't happened yet, but you see that as a reality where if people are coming in, you got some referrals they can walk to.
Absolutely.
So that's terrific.
Right. We're still getting settled in there. So,
Sure.
But people, as they learn that we're there, they're very excited
Sure.
to have us there.
But do you miss downtown Waukesha and getting lunch from People's Park or Rochester
I
Deli
do,
or some of
but
these other places?
We come over here and get lunch over here as much as
You
we
still
can.
do.
Because
I love it.
there's nothing like People's Park and Rochester Deli and
Yeah.
Cafe de Arts for coffee.
So you can take NAMI out of downtown, but you can't take the downtown out of NAMI.
That's true.
I love it.
That's very true, Don.
Sounds great. Well, that's great. And you guys are such a big part of this community. What is your relationship like with our new partners at Carroll University?
We've got a great relationship with Carroll University. Throughout the years, it's it ebbs and flows a little bit.
Sure.
They've Carroll University has really been on the forefront with students bringing attention to mental health. Carroll actually was one of the first. I think this is anecdotal, but when we started working with various universities and colleges, Carroll was one of the first that we became aware of that had their own mental health clinic for
Really?
students. They often had us
I love
coming into classes with presentations from lived experience presenters. We trained their security staff on crisis intervention training.
Nice.
They've had an Active Minds group that does a lot of awareness things. We've done movie screenings there. So we've got a great partnership with Carroll University.
That's terrific. And speaking of Carroll, the Pioneer softball team lost a doubleheader to UW Oshkosh in Oshkosh last Tuesday, 9-1 and 9-5. They lost to the Mighty Titans are 27-1, so they didn't lose to any slouch. They only put out 5 hits in the second game, so they're 12-18 for the season. Carroll baseball also only mustered up 5 hits on Tuesday, but they won. They beat Illinois Wesleyan and are now 13-12, 6-3 in conference, thanks to great pitching from Nolan Furman, Connor Kelly, who got the win, and Connor Nolan with the save. And so when we come back to, I want to talk about like what people can do to support NAMI. And what are some
good.
some kind of attainable goals that us as individuals can achieve to raise greater awareness for mental health in Waukesha. When This Week in Waukesha continues, do not go away. Mary Madden, NAMI Southeast Wisconsin is here.
Well, I've wasted and I've overtasted. Shadows are falling and I'm running out of breath. Keep me in your
Hey, we're back this week in Waukesha. A lot of you that are regular listeners are used to hearing this song. It's Warren Zevon, I believe his last song that he recorded called Keep Me in Your Heart, and very fitting as he was in his final days, tragically losing battle to cancer. But this is the last day I get to promote, last Saturday I get to promote putting Warren Zevon in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Next Friday, the 28th, same day as your fundraiser, Mary, the Blue Jean Bingo, is the last day you get to vote. So keep Warren Zevon in your heart. Vote.rockhall.com. And more city news before we return to Mary Madden is that at last week's city council meeting, the city said farewell to Alderman, my good friend and former colleague, Steve Johnson of the 10th District, as well as city administrator Kevin Lehner, who is becoming the city administrator at the city of Janesville. So best wishes to them both. And also best wishes to the new District 10 Alderman, Mike Anderson, who we hope to have on the show someday. And the acting city administrator, interim city administrator, our city clerk and treasurer, Gina Kozlik, will be stepping in while they do a nationwide search for our next city administrator. But big shout out to Jim Santel, whose Morning Cannolis is next. And for those of you Seinfeld fans, who I think I talked about this earlier, remember Kramer's coffee table book of coffee tables, Jim Santel brings his Morning Cannolis to his Morning Cannolis show for guests and friends of This Week in Waukesha.
Delicious.
And so thank you from Gloriosos. For those of you checking out the live stream, eat your heart out. This won't last long, but so thank you again to Jim. And Mary, we wanted to talk about, because we mentioned Brookfield Central off the air, and you said there's something else going on there as part of Mental Health Awareness Month in May.
Yes, absolutely. Forgot to mention that. It is happening on Wednesday night at Brookfield Central from 6 to 8:30.
This coming Wednesday.
Okay. April 20, is that the 26th? Yep, April 26th.
Yep.
It is open to the public. We are screening in collaboration with them and the Charles E. Kubley Foundation, a movie called My Ascension. It is My Ascension. It is about a young woman who tried to take her life and survived, but ended up paralyzed, and how she made meaning out of this situation and her mental health issues. And it really puts a nice spotlight on Hope Squads. And Hope Squads
I like that name.
Yeah, that's a great...
Hope Squads.
Yep, Elmbrook School District actually has a Hope Squad, and basically what Hope Squad is they teach and support students in being the go-to people for somebody who might be looking for services, so that if somebody doesn't necessarily feel comfortable going to an adult, now they can go to a classmate. And there's a lot of support for those classmates. And it is an absolutely wonderful evidence-based model, saving lives. And we've got it right here in Elmbrook. And actually, there's a group of trainers, and they train other individuals, teachers throughout the state.
So you really have quite the network of support.
We really do.
Throughout the state, as you mentioned.
Yeah, we really do. We're really lucky. We couldn't do what we do without the network that we have, and we try to support them and in the best way that we can, and then in turn those partners help support the NAMI cause and the NAMI mission as well.
Sure. So, and I can speak from personal experience because in one of my clients is Ronald McDonald House Charities of Eastern Wisconsin, and we, in the summer of 2021, we opened up one of the first Ronald McDonald family rooms that's partnered with a mental health hospital at Rogers Behavioral Health on their Oconomowoc campus. And to support us, NAMI, we've enlisted a couple of their staff and both presentations that I've been a part of have been brilliant, very well spoken. Some are survivors or people living with different mental health issues. And it really was just a remarkable experience.
Well, thanks. I think one of the things that makes us unique, Don, as an organization is that everything we do is from a lived experience perspective. So you and I have talked about, I have family members.
Right.
Everybody who works for us has some personal experience, and they can speak from that experience.
And it's like we all do in some way. And
absolutely.
So one of our civic media empire, one of our shows that appears in the evening is called Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake, and Robert Pilot, the host, always one of the themes of the show that's constant is Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. And when I think of mental health, that's a great analogy.
Absolutely.
That mental health is everyone's business.
It really is,
and everyone's business should be promoting mental health, better mental health for themselves and for those around them.
Absolutely. Well, and they should know how to promote their own mental health. Often people don't. We hear about how to take care of yourself medically. Some of us do it better than others, right? But you don't, you often don't hear about, what should you do for good mental health to keep yourself, sleeping well, eating well, exercising, those kinds of things.
Is that part of your uphill battle, though, is we have a current healthcare system, which we know is in disarray, or however you want to say it, just very costly. And mental health is one of kind of the victims of this current system.
It is. My opinion is that some of the stigma that we deal with is the roots of it are within our medical care system, where it's difficult to get mental health services. Reimbursement rates for therapists and mental health professionals are much lower than others. So who wants to go to school and come with a big mountain of school debt and then get reimbursed really poorly for providing services and those kinds of things. And so, and just not having parity and being able to get the kind of care that you need and the type of care that you need, because
I love it.
Somebody is approving or disapproving that.
Mary, as I demonstrated, or as I said, we're down to 1 minute, and we need more time. We got to have you back, or other members of NAMI. Thank you so much. Don't forget, May is National Mental Health Awareness Week. I want to remember with love the men and women of the Easter Rising in Ireland. That anniversary is this Monday, the 24th. Please don't forget to elect Warren Zevon to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Do it now. Do it every day until the 28th. And remember, good mental health and safety is everyone's responsibility. Thank you again, Mary.
Thank you, Don, for having me.
Bye for now, everybody. This week in Waukesha. Next week, we have Sarah the author. And then we'll be talking about the farmers market and some of other Sarah's titles. So thanks again, Mary Madden, NAMI, Southeast Wisconsin. See ya!
The buttons on your blouse keep me in your heart for a while.